Welcome to another fine episode of Pixel Talk, the show where we discuss what it means to be human from a pixel's point of view. And now, here is your host, Fivezy.
So, been thinking a lot, almost exclusively about music. And that's because I'm working on a really, what I think will be a really fun live version of Pixel Talk. You can't really see it now from just this. Well, you can see like parts of it. Yeah, it's baking my noodle. And it's really fun. It's got me back into music and the idea of being able to just produce everything in the moment, right? Everything live, kind of like Mark Rebele, or I've been really looking at what Beardy Man is doing. And that kind of energy, that kind of connection to the moment and the crowd and the risk of who knows what's going to happen next is exclusively exciting to me at the moment. So with that, I've organized a bunch of videos here about music, and as usual, per usual, I have no real idea where they're going to go entirely. So we're going to sample a range of ideas about music, a little bit of a documentary about the original pinball machine music by Suzanne Ciani, really great electronic artist, pioneer. And then I think we'll end with a little soul food. We'll see what that's all about. All right, let's give it a shot.
Hey, yo, dope party. This music's lit. You know who's spinning?
Yo, you talking about the DJ? Man, there ain't no DJ here. It's just nobody in the computer.
Yo, what? Nobody in the computer? What you talking about, shorty? I ain't never heard of that out here in the town.
Yeah. It's some new stuff with that next level thing, you know? It's music made with artificial intelligence.
AI? Yo, for real? We're all out here dancing to tracks spun by some damn computer? Man, it's wild, but I gotta admit it's fire. I need that mixtape from that nobody dude. Now. I mean now.
Okay. So, welcome to...
And yep, my awesome peeps, both dudes and dudettes, were back in the groove, taking a fun-filled plunge into the world of AI music and content, and savoring every beat and note. So guess what? I've got a fresh video ready to roll. We're gonna let AI whip out some raw audios and then jam with some sampling action. Yep, we're picking up sounds, giving them our special twist, and making them sing. Sounds like a party, right? Now I know what's buzzing in your head. How in the world do we pull that off? Leave that to me, and a few AI tools, of course. First stop, Audio Gen from Meta, our sonic magician turning whispers into boombox beats. Next, we've got our MCs, ready to spit fire, courtesy of Suno and its latest, greatest, freshest model. And just when you thought it couldn't get any cooler, we're dialing up the beats with Google's Music LM, preparing the stage for none other than, wait for it, Tupac. But we're not stopping there. Dive deep into the experimental rabbit hole with Meta's Music Gen as our star-studded MC lineup takes center stage. But before we dive in, let's flip through the history books a bit. The concept of using existing sounds to create new music dates back to the mid-20th century with the emergence of concrete music, musique concrete, a type of music composition that utilizes recorded sounds as raw material. Pioneers like Pierre Schaeffer began experimenting with manipulating sounds from the real world, including spoken words, musical instruments, and environmental noise. But let's continue with the history. Often seen as an early version of the sampler, the mellotron, introduced in the 1960s, was a unique keyboard instrument. It operated using a series of tape strips, each containing a pre-recorded instrument sound. When a key was pressed, it triggered the tape playback for that specific sound, allowing it to be played at the intended pitch. Notable bands such as the Beatles and King Crimson incorporated the mellotron into their music. Hop on the digital wave. Unveiled in 1979, the Fairlight CMI wasn't just any instrument, it was the first synthesizer to bring digital sampling to the party. Sure, it had a hefty price tag and might have needed an instruction manual thicker than a sandwich, but it paved the way for the cool kids of the 1980s, the samplers. These gizmos became the backbone of a musical revolution. But before we groove too deep into the digital realm, let's take a beat to appreciate the turntables, the granddaddies of the samplism game. Rewinding a bit, turntablism had already set the streets ablaze, with DJs like the iconic Grandmaster Flash scratching vinyl and orchestrating beats like nobody's business. This art wasn't just about spinning records, it was about reshaping sounds, creating new rhythms, and laying the groundwork for what hip-hop would become. Collections like Ultimate Breaks and Beats albums were their treasure chests, offering a vast soundscape to scratch, mix, and reimagine. Now, back to the 80s and 90s, the sampler's heyday. With the turntables setting the pace, our digital buddies, EMU SP1200 and Akai MPC, jumped into the mix. They allowed for even more precision. Breakbeats looped seamlessly, and melodies transformed at the touch of a button. Maestros like DJ Premier, Pete Rock, and Dr. Dre wielded these tools like magic wands, fusing the raw energy of turntablism with the endless possibilities of digital sampling. But here's the plot twist. As the 90s rolled into the 2000s, the beat hit a bit of a snag. While our digital heroes were making waves, they also stirred up some legal whirlpools. Copyright, the buzzkill at the party, crashed the scene. Remember the iconic Amen break groove? It echoed everywhere without much payback to its original creator. And then there was Biz Markie's catchy Alone Again, which danced a little too close to Gilbert O'Sullivan's Alone Again naturally, landing him in some legal hot water. Artists were now getting more side eyes and finger pointing than ever before. The Sample All You Want buffet started rolling up its welcome mat, replaced with Ask Before You Take signs. This shift nudged heavy sampling into the back alley, making it less of a star in the chart-topping tracks. The Wild West of sampling was getting some rules, and the soundscape of mainstream music was morphing once again. But now, a new wave, a new way. Yeah, now we've got generative AI to whip up our own freaky samples, fellas.
Hey, yo, hold up. So if I jack some beats from this AI joint, I ain't gonna get rolled on by the law?
Hey Biz, cool your jets. It's just a mugshot, man. Guess what? Those AIs have been trained with my music too, so I might just have to ring up my legal squad.
Hey Biz Gilbert, don't fight mates. It's true that generative AI has been trained with loads of data from artists, and the legal scene is still in its early stages with much left to discuss. But let's not beat around the bush and start sampling artificial intelligence. How about we kick things off with the era of concrete music? And for this task, AudioGen by Meta, yeah, the peeps who used to be Facebook, is the perfect solution. It's a textually guided audio generation tool. You simply provide a description or prompt, and the model crafts an audio piece based on that description. Quite remarkable, isn't it? It's the ideal tool for creating concrete music or for sourcing shorter samples.
All right, that's rad, but seriously, how on earth do we jam with that thing?
Geeking out as always. With just a pinch of code, folks. I'm going to share this notebook I cooked up for y'all on Colab. Super easy. Just execute the cells and bam. You've got Meta's AudioGen implementation right there. You have to define the prompt here. For example, let's start with tape scratch. Execute the cell, and the AI-generated audio will appear right here. Let's listen and see what it sounds like. All right, we're in business. We've got some sounds to start sampling. But check this out, peeps. In the description, if we separate with a comma, we can generate a whole bunch of sounds at once, like brush teeth, crystal glasses, beatbox, refrigerator noise. Let's listen. More? What about toy piano? Cassia-tone bass? Scream. Cat scream. Alrighty, time out. Eureka moment right here. How about we use these sounds to cook up a beat? It'd be a musique concrete beat powered by AI. But wait, there's more. Because I've got more spicy deets up my sleeve. I'm about to unveil a model that's still in beta, got an invite to test this baby out. It's an alpha version of Suno's Chirp model. Super user-friendly. They've got a Discord bot too. Let me show you the magic. It's a breeze, folks. Punch in the command beta chirp version 1 and poof, up pops this window where you pick your music mojo. I'm vibing with 90s rap today. Now, you can either type in some lyrics you've penned down or let our buddy ChatGPT whip something out. You know me, I'm going for the wild card. I tossed in the prompt, musique concrete, hit enter, and pumba. We've got these fresh lines cooked up by ChatGPT, which Chirp is about to turn into 2 banging track. Let's drop the beat and see what it's cooked up.
Check it, step into my zone. Let me introduce a style so unique. It's music content, no excuse. Sampling sound, sipping beats, creating something new from everyday noises. Listen closely, fit the groove. Music content, breaking boundaries, can't you see? Blending sounds, making waves, setting creativity free.
Okay, nice. Let's listen to second generation.
Yo, check to step into my zone. Let me introduce a style so unique. It's music on content, no excuse. Sampling sounds, flipping beats, creating something new from everyday noises. Listen closely, fit.
Okay, enough. That was rad, but come on, we're just getting started. Let's crank it up a notch. I'm thinking we strip down the generated voice from Suno using a steam separator, just pure vocals. That way, we've got some slick rhymes to lay over our musique concrete beat.
Check to step into my zone. Let me introduce a style so unique. It's music on content, no excuse. Sampling sounds, flipping beats, creating something new from everyday noises. Listen closely, fit.
All right, party people, what's missing? The beat, of course. Using all the sonic goodies whipped up with Meta's audio gen, I've crafted this musique concrete beat. Ready for a listen? Let me know how it hits your eardrums. Well. Fresh, wild, and absolutely mind-bending, right? Ready to hear what happens when we mix in our Suno rapper to this groove? Hold on to your headphones.
Check to step into my zone. Let me introduce a style so unique. It's music on content, no excuse. Sampling sounds, flipping beats, creating something new from everyday noises. Listen closely, fit the groove. Music on breaking boundaries, can't you see? Blending sounds, making waves, adding creativity.
Yeah, I know, right? Mind-blowingly bonkers to think all of this was conjured up entirely by AI. A total curveball. But hey, let's not rest on our laurels. Time to charge ahead, pedal to the metal, like a centipede on a sugar rush. This time, let's have a little fun with Google's Musical M, which has leveled up like crazy recently. How about we aim for our own ultimate break and beats album with a twist? Think of it as AI Time It Break and Beats. Cool as shaker, peeps? Essentially, we're looking at loops sampled straight out of Music LM's genius. I tinkered with a bunch of prompts. Sometimes the straightforward ones hit the sweet spot, like this one, 60s soul drum. Yeah, I love it. Super fresh. Let's listen to the next one. Yeah, I feel like breakdancing, but check this out. If, for instance, I add an S at the end, 60s soul drums produces a completely different sound. Totally off. Terrible. And back then, They also sampled soul from the 70s. If I change it to 70s, the magic disappears. The takeaway: every AI model has a unique way of responding to prompts, and there's a lot of trial and error involved. All right, so above the mixtape, I cherry-picked the creme de la creme from Musical M's Magic and looped them, each spinning around for about a minute. Kinda throws you back to the golden age of ultimate breaks and beats, right? Any rapper can snag a beat and drop some fire lines on top. Rad, huh? Let's pick one and dial Suno back in for that rapper voice vibe. But this time, let's pen our own lyrics using GPT Playground. How about this prompt? A super fun modern rap lyric. But check this out. I'm going to set the temperature to 1.5 to get it more creative. It might be a bit out there, but hey, this is for fun after all. All right, we got this wild lyric on deck. Let's head over to Suno, grab a piece. I'm digging this bit.
I flow unstoppable, words impeccable. Got them shook. Call me scarce detective, though they left a clue full. Top-notch flow, unmistakable. Like I've seen graffiti.
It's got a little gangsta vibe, but let's work with it. But wait a minute. You know we ain't about that vanilla vibe. We always gotta add some spicy twists. So, here's the next move. We're gonna strip the vocals right off that Suno track. Once we're left with just the raw voice, we're diving into another AI toolbox. This time, we're tapping into a retrieval-based voice conversion. Yeah, sounds fancy, right? It transforms one person's voice into another by fishing out the best match from a massive sea of voice recordings.
Yeah, cool concept. But who's our rhyme master stepping up to the mic this time?
Guess what? None other than the legendary Tupac Shakur. Yep, we're gonna mesh his iconic voice, cloned from Suno's generation, and lay it over one of our beats, whipped up by Musical M. And just when you thought we were done, we're serving up a side of AI-generated video. Think you're ready for this? Doubt it, but let's hit play anyway.
Flow unstoppable, words impeccable. Got them shook. Call me stance detective, though they left a clue full. Top-notch flow, unmistakable. Like I've seen graffiti, spitting rhymes spicy, let hot hop level. Misty blanks in the show, but man skills. Hustle it to the sunrise. Gunning for the phone, I won't apologize. Doubling down on my worth, balling rap economics. Got 'em bobbing to my roof. Call me beat hypnosis. I'm out of rap star, ruin hearted. Can't handle the heat, stay up and trailblaze. Locked and loaded with my unleashed mind of names. Modern prowess controlling the mainstream vibe. Big bomby legends spawning unstoppable tribes. Now about our pay pilots, we are here to stay.
Yep, mind-blowing, right? One more for the road? But this time, let's flex our sampling muscles and imagine we're going on a digging spree, stumbling upon the most eccentric music styles. And guess what? With AI, we don't even need to step out of our comfy abodes. Enter another gem from Meta, Music Gen. I've got it all set up in this nifty collab notebook. I just tossed in some whimsical music styles like exotica, library music, Italian giallo soundtracks, and a bunch more. Welcome to the world of prompt digging. Yep, move over record digging. Now we're prompt digging. I gave a whirl to a ton, and here are some zesty ones I landed on. Listen what freaky music I discovered to loop for our rappers. All right, let's break it down. Using this rich array of samples, we're gearing up to craft some beats. We'll task GPT in the playground with a spicy temperature setting to conjure up some insanely inventive lyrics. Next, Suno's gonna give voice to those words, morphing them into rap verses. And guess who's laying down those lines? None other than Lauryn Hill, MF Doom, and Quasimodo. And if that wasn't enough to get your head spinning, Piccolab's about to drop videos of folks breakdancing straight out of the 80s. So grab your popcorn, folks, because this is pure, unadulterated AI geekdom served up Freakismo style. Ready?
L-O-V-E, yeah, I'm redefining it. I got this love rap, gotta feel the tight clip. Lauryn Hill on toast, I'm spreading love thick. Romantic roses, woman gotta give it a whip. Cause when it comes to love, there's no comparison. I express it through my verses, living on
Minds exposed, supernova flows. I'm the hip-hop extinction, the lyrics versus great. To collapse your never taught invention. Super creative beyond your comprehension. No lyrical innovation, breaking down the grievances invention. My words bring you attention, unleash this unstoppable dimension. In my ascension, I'm wild on cane with attention, deficit retention. Drowning the known roots of my mental mutation.
I'll be honest, ain't a delirious mastermind. Creativity pouring out in me. Every contained to confine my lyrics while like a beast looking free of every chain. They say I'm wavy, but that only fuels my artistic flame. I'm imaginations winning while colors bursting from my created by flying and different play. Dropping lines that'll make your mind go and stay.
Yeah, I'm equally astonished by the power of AI offering music that's not just experimental, but of impeccable quality, accompanied by mesmerizing visuals. Truly, we're living in remarkable times. Now I can't sign off without giving a massive shout out to the Nobodies Collective. Crafting these videos requires a significant investment of time, energy, and creative exploration. Without the unwavering support of the collective, this would have been an uphill task.
So that was pretty crazy. I don't know. I mean, it's not there yet. Those tools aren't there yet, but it's happening fast. All right, let's go back in time to the creation of music for pinball machines.
Suzanne Ciani, electronic composer. She captures the indefinable and turns it into music. Her instruments are synthesizers. Her vocabulary, words like reverb, delay, amplitude. She's written whole scores for movies by touching buttons, patching chords. But now a new challenge. A pinball manufacturer has asked her to design special sounds for a new game.
Okay, so we're going to start off on the background sound.
A double challenge, sounds and voices that would play off each other.
I was very interested in getting the whole composition to work, to think of the pinball as actually playing a piece. Because I think to add excitement to the game, that the background sound should speed up as you play the game. So I can put in just a series of pitches. Okay, now I'm going to ask it to play and see what it does here.
Pinball Symphony, a whole new world. What are the magic sources of these sounds? Well, the secret lies in a chip. The chip is a tiny computer program the size of a domino. It stores 48,000 bits of information. When commanded by an outside computer, these bits are spat out rapidly as sound.
The artwork has different phases of transformation.
Chicago, the home office. The sound chips were fun. Now the hard part. A voice chip with something new.
It's a place, it's a person, it's a state of being, it's a sort of euphoric transformation. And if we could somehow convey all this through the use of voice, we've never done that. It's been so functional and dry before.
I just think it would be really nice to use a female voice in the game as
a female voice would tie in great.
With the voice chip.
That would be unique.
Yeah. Something that hasn't been done before, I don't think. I can process the real voice sound and give it a little bit of a different edge.
An effect, or?
Yeah, it's like it could go, for instance, even with my voice, the whole gamut of, from male to female, even, and everything in between. Hello, hello, hello. 1, 2, 3. Welcome, welcome.
A female voice in a pinball game. Now, how to fit the sound in a voice chip? Female voices, of a higher frequency than male voices, need almost twice as many bits of information.
Okay.
The chip allows her a total of 5 seconds.
Zena. Great. So I get this delay. Okay. The idea of using the short grunts and groans came to me when I watched people playing the game. The way that people expressed their frustrations or their involvement with the game. And I wanted the game to do that back. I wanted it to talk back to the people playing. It'd be good for when they lose the ball. When the ball goes through the tube? Well, how about, I could set it up with my voice saying, try tube shot. 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 It's a kind of emotional let go. When you fall through that tube, you're letting go.
The recorded sounds are analyzed, measured, compressed to fit the chip, then programmed into the chip by computer to interplay with the lights and scores.
Great. Perfect.
Finally, the chips are placed in the pinball machine.
This is our sound chip, and this is our speech.
Great.
Okay, we are all set.
Ready?
Let me close this door. Would you like to go first? Power up.
Power up.
Welcome to Xenon.
Well, before working on the game, I must admit I was not much of a pinball player. Of course, now I'm a fanatic.
Sound chips are new. Today we hear Suzanne's voice for 5 seconds. In the future, women with sound chips in their earrings will listen to Beethoven's symphonies.
Chips in the 80s, of course, are going to be every place, giving us information, giving us pleasure, getting us excited.
Something I've been thinking about a lot lately is the idea of isolation and creativity, and if it's necessary to be isolated to be truly creative. Especially after events in the last couple of years, the idea of working from home and being isolated has just become normalized. And as a musician and YouTuber, I think it is a little bit odd that nearly everything I do alone. I spent the last 6 days on the road going to and from Schaumburg, Illinois for KnobCon, and on the way home I made a stop in Fort Wayne down at the Sweetwater family compound. I gotta admit that place was pretty neat, and shout out to Ian for showing me around. I picked up a couple goodies during my time away, and I also made the mistake of playing a Moog Sub 37, which I now want real bad. What really stuck out to me during this trip is how powerful it is to connect with people that share that same creative passion. To be totally honest, probably about 80% of the reason I even went is just to interact with people that really get it. On the drive up, I was listening to music, and there was a line in a song. The whole world's talking, but nobody's saying a thing. There was something about that line that really stood out to me. There was just something in that sort of solipsistic idea that sums up so much of how I've been feeling about everything lately. For one reason or another, we seem to romanticize this idea of isolation for creativity's sake. I mean, people literally used to pay other people to pretend to be weird, magical hermits in their garden. Funny as that is, at the same time, I think we all sort of understand where this idea of a need for isolation comes from. Now, of course, I've got my wife and my dogs and friends and all, but I often find myself wanting to skip out on hanging out with them because I feel like I just need to be chained to this process of creating and making and doing, and any interruption to that is just taking away from my ability to do the thing. I'm not really sure why that's the case, because it's not like I'm creating things all the time. It's just that for some reason it feels like that's what you're supposed to do. A creator I really appreciate the hell out of is Isabel Page on YouTube, and she makes really unique content, and I think it's because she's isolated herself by living alone, at least as far as I'm aware, up on a mountain, and that's shielded her from all the weird, grifty hellscape that YouTube has become, which makes her content just very different and daring in a lot of weird ways. And one of the most unique byproducts is that in her videos, the mountain has become a character in its own right. Now, as cheesy as it sounds to say out loud, I think we all have our own mountain as creators, and it's something we only experience through isolation. It's that special liminal spark that lives in us that needs to be expressed. But the longer I've been doing all this stuff, the more I've really started to wonder if isolation is really a necessary part of the process. We've all got our mountain, but it's almost below the surface, and the only way to dig at it is to find perspectives and ideas. I can't remember where I found this quote originally, but it was somewhere along the way. Interesting people with interesting lives have interesting things to say. In the current era of content we find ourselves in, with all the grind and hustle culture and grifting and whatever, it's hard to not think that you're supposed to just move forward and push harder and be more willing to sacrifice anything than anybody else, and part of that is remaining isolated so that you can fully dedicate yourself to the experience of the craft. But I don't really think that's the case, and I think maybe we're missing out on something along the way. Deep down, I think we all know that art isn't really a competition, but it's sometimes hard to not see it that way. I think we all know that the fundamental truth is art and creative expression are something we do for the sake of doing it. I guess one of the things I learned from this trip is that you're never really as many degrees removed from being in a room full of people who completely understand you as you might think you are. If the expressive nature of art is truly a reflection of life, then it's necessary to go out and live. And I think the best way to do that is to connect with people and form that sense of community, not only to encourage you to create, but to challenge your ideas and perspectives on things. The more we immerse ourselves in these connections and ideas, the more we can reflect and bring something new to the surface. I think maybe the only way to truly create something that you think matters enough that other people need to see it is to understand that it's all about having something to say. I guess what I've come to realize through all this is that by connecting with these people who really understand things on a deeper level and get it or challenge my perspective on it, you get to recharge your creative batteries in a way that just can't really be done otherwise, and really can't be done in isolation. It's only through experience that we gain perspective, and it's only through our own perspective and understanding it that we have anything to say at all. George Berkeley had this idea that people only understand things through their own perception, but everybody's perception of the world is just a little bit different, and there is no absolute. Our understanding and our way of self-expression as artists is made up of solely our own ideas, and there's no real justification for believing that they're all the exact same. So I guess in my mind what that means is, if you have an idea and you have something you want to say, then it's damn well worth doing. Although at times isolation may be necessary to really get it out, the only way to truly understand your own ideas and what you have to say is to live some life and gain a little bit of perspective and understand that it's going to be your own. I guess it turns out it's fun to have fun. And connecting with people who inspire you is actually pretty damn inspiring. And suddenly, in being inspired, you have a whole lot more to say.
Join us in telling more stories of the good, the true, and the beautiful by making a sound offering.
Tigla grows by your kindness. Whatever you give in love is good enough for us.
What you're watching now is only the tip of the iceberg. We've just begun. There's much more to the world of Tigla yet to be revealed. You can help by making a sound offering today.
Visit tigla.com/sound offering and see what we're up to. Also, if you're enjoying the show, you can tip Fivezy from the link in the description.
I'd like to think that I'm a DJ, not a free J.
Everyone needs their stories to live by. Make yours a living one. Visit Tigla.com, Book of Living Stories.
Okay, Gumball, let's get back to the show.
St. John Chrysostom, a reflection in his commentary on Matthew, Gospel of Matthew. He reflects on music there and uses this language, so I'm appropriating it in the title of my reflection. I'm holding today a very nice warm cup of coffee, and one of the great sounds that blesses my soul is coffee percolation in the morning. Poured into my nice acoustic nectar cup. Have a sip. I'd like to start my reflection about how music changes us and functions as a spiritual charm by simply noting that God Himself, the Almighty, is the author of the sounds of nature. Just think of the impact of nature on you and its sounds. Think of the ocean and the waves. Water in general, running streams. Think of birds and animal sounds, movement of the winds, the ruffling of leaves. Nature's sounds are exceedingly powerful and altering in their effects, no doubt. We thank God for them. Many people have harnessed the sounds of nature in our urban life. The majority of the world now is living this urban life, and it has so many liabilities, especially in our separation from nature and the basic rhythms that God has placed in nature. And many people are shackling the sounds of nature and using them as therapy in their life, putting nature's sounds on in their home, especially when they're trying to fall asleep so that they don't have to hear cars going by and the sirens and that sort of thing. But they can hear beautiful sounds of nature. I'll begin with a quote from St. John Chrysostom. The quote contains this reference to spiritual charms. I think you'll find it edifying. This is from his second homily in his commentary on Matthew. Inasmuch as this kind of pleasure is thoroughly innate to our mind, and lest demons introducing lascivious songs should overthrow everything, God established the Psalms so that singing might be a pleasure and a help to man, affirming that the Psalms were inspired and written to be sung, which of course I'm just noting we in the Orthodox tradition do in all of our services. The Psalms constitute the core prayer book of the church and inspire all the liturgical services. They're at the heart of all the liturgical services, particularly not just the reading of Psalms, but the chanting of songs. God established the Psalms so that singing might be a pleasure and a help to man. From strange chants come harm and ruin, and many grievous matters. Those things in songs that are lascivious and vicious settle in parts of the mind, making it softer and weaker. From the spiritual psalms proceed much of value, much of holiness, which builds up the soul because the words purify the mind. The psalms are potent, and especially singing the psalms will change your life. Or tell me, who of you stand here, if you were required, could repeat one psalm or any other portion of the divine scriptures? And it is not this only that is the grievous thing, but that while you are become so backward with respect to things spiritual, yet in regard of what belongs to Satan, you are more vehement than fire. Here's St. John exercising his pastoral commitment to telling the truth to his people. It's not a great word. I'm sure no one was thrilled to hear it, that they are more attuned to satanic songs than they are to the songs of the scriptures. But evidently he thought they needed to hear it. Thus, should anyone be minded to ask you songs of the devils and impure, effeminate melodies, he will find many that know these perfectly and repeat them with much pleasure. How things don't change much. Ask how many teenagers know the lyrics, have the memorized lyrics of really horrible rap songs and hip-hop songs, which are degrading to the soul, versus how many could repeat the Psalter. Certainly we must address that, and we must make sure we change that. Thus, should anyone be minded to ask you songs of the devils and impure, effeminate melodies, he will find many that know these perfectly and repeat them with much pleasure. For this cause, we have need continually of those sacred songs, which serve as charms from the Spirit. There you have it. Spiritual charms. This is the soul's food. Listen to how he describes sacred hymnody, sacred singing, beautiful words and song. The soul's food. This its ornament, this its security. Even as not to hear is famine and wasting. You know, besides the charms of the soul food. What a great image. What then can be more wretched? When the very evil which God threatens in the way of punishment, this thou art drawing upon thine own head, of thine own accord, bringing into thy soul a sort of grievous famine, and making it the feeblest thing in the world. For it is nature both to be wasted and to be saved by words. We're either ruined or we're saved by words. Yea, this leads one to anger, and the same can lead again to meekness. A filthy expression can kindle lust, and it is trained to temperance by speech that is full of gravity. A word from the divine scriptures made to sound in the ear does more than fire soften the hardened soul and renders it fit for all good things. Woo! Listen to the great golden mouth's conception of the power of music and how it alters us. It can make us fit to love God and other people, or it can make us completely oblivious to spiritual things. I'm fascinated by the science, the spiritual science of music. I read a book once, many years ago, which I've never been able to forget. It was written by a man named Alex Carpuso. I think it was published in the 70s. And it's on the science of music. The title of it is Music and Your Emotions, a practical guide to music selections associated with desired emotional responses. This text, which was an evaluation of the science of music and the effect of different kinds of music upon the human person, absolutely blew me away and gave me a tremendous appreciation for and respect for music. He describes in this text all sorts of psychosomatic reactions, physical reactions, emotional reactions, behavioral, social, educational, imaginal, all of these due to the effects of music, different types of music. And not just the words again. Words and pitch, loudness, duration, timbre, brightness, vowel quality, volume, the density, all affect the listener. Music is complex, and it has a complex effect upon the human person. It alters moods, can increase or decrease quality of sleep, can promote aggression, increase appetite. Now, a lot of these things have been commented on, as you've seen from St. John Chrysostom's, by the church fathers. The great Roman consul and then monk, Cassiodorus. This is the 6th century in the West, right? He's living after the fall of Rome, the invasion of the barbarians, and he spent the end of his life, Cassiodorus did, trying to prop up Christian culture against the barbarian invasions. And he propounds and comments on in great detail a kind of an early medieval theory of music in a unique way in the West, describing in great ways how music can alter the human person, how music can expel the greatest of griefs. Don't we need that today? How it can eliminate fears, how it can appease cruelty, he says. It can abate heaviness in the heart. It can cause quiet. It can facilitate rest. This is Cassiodorus, 6th century. It has physiological effects. The research shows that it can improve eyesight, alter study, the quality of study and memory retention, elongate concentration, affect pulse and respiration, increase or decrease blood pressure, increase metabolism, affect the brain, and through the brain, the entire nervous system, affect your digestion, your secretions, your circulatory abilities, your nutrition, your respiration, all by music. It's dynamogenic. Fascinating word, dynamogenic. It means it enhances systems of your body that are already working. The book also shows that music affects animals, and this is important to see. It has a tremendous effect on animals and can control animals, different types of music, which shows that it's not just a rational thing. So words are especially important, of course, for rational beings, for human beings made in the image of God. But also the sound itself has a tremendous impact on us, and that's shown through the research that's been done with animals, irrational or non-rational animals. The increase of volume, the text reads, the increase of volume of sound in modern life without adequate control of its character is one of the reasons of growing emotional instability in contemporary society. This is the affirmation of this text. And that text also points out, and I think this is particularly relevant, how music can be used as a cure to depression. I'll end this reflection with a few scriptural references to the use of music to alter states and to greatly affect the human person. In the Old Testament, God inspired his people to use the trumpet in association with mustering for battle, calling to war. The trumpets and musical instruments have always been used in the militaries. And this is the case in ancient Israel as well. Of course, you see the trumpets also in the Apocalypse. Another story there. But the trumpets would stir up the hearts of men to drive out fears, to amplify their willingness for self-sacrifice and for defending their wives and children and their nation. And so this is how the army would be summoned. This is still the case, as I mentioned, militaries, that they use music. I remember seeing a real misuse of this back when the Iraq War in 2003, 20 years ago. I remember watching a video on television of our soldiers driving into Baghdad in their Humvees and other things, and more often than not, they were blasting acid rock. I remember seeing one image that I've never forgotten of young men with their sunglasses on going into Iraq, and they were listening to AC/DC. If you want blood, you got it. Screamers. This is not, while certainly it would stoke their martial feelings and move them to want to fight. Of course, if you're going to try to fight in a way that doesn't ruin your soul, if you're going to try to be just in your military ambitions, then listening to AC/DC is not a great idea. If you're going to make sure you don't kill the innocent, you don't shoot women and children together with men and soldiers going into war screaming, "If you want blood, you got it," is not the greatest idea. There's also an incredibly moving account in the Chronicler. In the Chronicles, in 2nd Chronicles 20, it tells the story of King Jehoshaphat and Fivezy stirring up
the Thanks for watching. Pixel Talk will return.
Visit Tigler.com for more art, apparel, and things yet to be revealed.